If we write applications, we might log our application flow to know what happened with the flow. So, in case something wrong happened, we can trace the log. In terms of security, logging is also important. We can keep log of who doing what on our API, or known as audit log. By auditing, we can record all attempt operations to find out whether certain clients is trying to abuse the API. Audit logs should be written to durable storage, such as the file system or a database, so that the audit logs will survive if the process crashes for any reason. After all, who knows that the process crash might be triggered by someone that exploits API weakness. For example, massive hit on the API that unprotected by rate limiting, which then cause denial of service. For durable storage, there are several options. The simplest is using text file or put log into database. For better visualization and analysis, there are several available tools. From the free one like Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana, or the paid one like Logly or Datadog. One of my other courses about REST API management provides sample about this using Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. What needs to be logged in API call? Well, I will start with who instead of what. We should normally open audit logs only to small group of trusted people, as the audit logs might contain sensitive information. Often, such small group of auditors are different from system administrators or engineers. This is important principle known as separation of duties. Separation of duties requires that different aspects of actions should be controlled by different people, so that no one person is entirely responsible for the action. For example, a person who creates payment requests should be different with person who approves the payment, providing a defense against financial fraud. In terms of log, a person who administers the system should not managing the logs. If they are same people, an administrator might exploit a weakness he knows about, then remove the log to cover his digital trace. Now that we know the who, what should be logged? Well, this is a common sample of API request with JSON body. We have the HTTP verb, then we have the URI path along with query string, several HTTP request headers, and the JSON request body. Note that the request body contains credit card number, which can be considered as sensitive information. So, what to log? Well, this really depends on each organization, but generally I will suggest to log this. API access time up to second or more precise. The method, URI path, optionally with query string, who access this, which can be retrieved from authorization header. Just be careful with this. In this sample, we use basic authentication, which means it contains plain username and password from all users, including legitimate users. We should only log the username but not the password. Optionally, log request body. This can be whole body or only certain fields. For example, only log the transaction ID and amount, but ignore the credit card number as it is considered sensitive. Query string and body are optional in case we don't want the auditor see sensitive data, although by not log it, we might have difficulties later if analysis is needed. Next question is, how to log it, and where is a good place to start the log. Log must be meaningful, which means we need to gather insight later. Something like how many times the API hit rate per second, which endpoint that used the most, endpoint that throws most error, etc. We can use many ways to do this. For example, put the log in database. But I am not recommend database approach, since we need more effort later to gather the insight or visualize it. My recommendation is using tools that specialize for this, like Datadog or Logly if you have budget, or use free Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. The better approach for log format is JSON, so data is more structured.